Emuyeni must find food and get back. Immediately. But the grass fires have spread way beyond the home gorge. And even the caracal has been pushed out of its own territory. And is now moving towards the gorge, where the juvenile eagle is sitting. At the sight of this unusual intruder into his gorge, the juvenile's hunger is instinctively joined by fear. Unsuccessful in their hunt, Kwatele and Emuyeni begin their long flight back to the two young chicks. Cain is desperate and searches the horizon for any sign of his parents. His younger sibling brother has almost succumbed to the heat. But fortune is to be on the side of the juvenile, because as Emuyeni and Kwatele fly over his gorge, they spot the caracal and see a critical situation unfolding. The juvenile's senses warn him. Emuyeni swoops at the cat, and it dodges into a crag. Kwatele judges his moment carefully. But this is a conflict born over timeless generations, and the caracal knows the trees will shield him from the raking talons. Emuyeni and Kwatele manage to chase it to the other side of the gorge, but no further. It stands its ground. The cat would be less of a threat to the juvenile had he not been forced out of his home gorge, where there would always be at least one parent looking out for him. But now, all the caracal has to do is wait and watch. Because the juvenile's parents will have to leave at some point and go back to the nest. By the time Kwatele and Emuyeni reach their nest, the late afternoon shadows have crept up the cliff to provide some relief from the relentless sun. They return to a terrible scene. The younger chick is dead. Kwatele lashes out at his mate. But it is Emuyeni who rules the nest, and it is she who must deal with the day's misfortunes. As she begins to pick up the dead chick, Kwatele leaves. He looks down on a most unusual scene, never before captured on film. The storm is over and the fires have burnt themselves out. Once again, a quiet summer night. The caracal begins its prowl. The moonlight helps. Although even on the darkest nights, a caracal can find prey. The faint chirping means the juvenile hasn't moved. The caracal follows its ears. A few clouds start to drift across the moon. In the near total darkness, the caracal makes his kill. Morning. And back at the Eagle's Gorge, Cain has survived the night, but he needs food desperately. Emuyeni and Kwatele have been hunting together since early dawn. They finally spot something that has survived the fires and come into the open. In a true display of Black Eagle cooperative hunting, Emuyeni flushes the quarry out, and Kwatele strikes behind her. Throwing caution to the wind, he recklessly tumbles down the cliff, gripping his prey. A rock rabbit. Their only hope today was teamwork. Anything they saw had to be caught, and their chances increase when they hunt together. But once again, they have both been gone from the nest for a long time. But it's been a gamble to save the original gamble, the decision to breed out of season. The risk was leaving their surviving chick unattended in the summer sun. They may have pushed their luck too far. When they finally get back to the gorge and to the cliff where they ambitiously built their 2 working nests, they find the second chick dead. It's Kwatele who's first to the nest and the body. He takes in the total failure at their attempt at summer breeding. As hungry as he is, Kwatele abandons the rabbit. He leaves it and the dead chick to Emuyeni. Her reaction in the end is a little more practical. She has a fresh rabbit. And she also has another hungry offspring. The juvenile, the one she started with, and one that's also suffered greatly from the experiment in double brooding. Attacked by his parents and ultimately exiled to another gorge, defenseless, not knowing how to feed himself and never knowing when or if another meal would be flown in. Emuyeni lands at the place where she last saw the juvenile. But the familiar calling of the juvenile does not greet her. This year, the Black Eagles gambled with their breeding and ended up losing everything. 3 chicks hatched, 3 died. They can rest now and spend what's left of the summer hunting for themselves and getting the nest ready for the following winter. In this case, double brooding had proved disastrous. The next winter, the crew that made this film went back to the mountains, to the Cape Weavers and the Aloes. And of course, to the Black Eagles. Emuyani was still there. Kwatele was still performing his acrobatics. The Caracal was there too, resting in the grass and watching and watching. And when the crew followed Emuyeni back to her nest, the upper one, the one last year's juvenile had been raised in, there were chicks there, 3 of them. Last year, they were the first black eagles ever known to have tried double brooding. This year, they were the first ever known to have 3 chicks in one clutch.